Welcome to another episode of The Modern Hotelier. We're excited to release this conversation with Greg Sukornyk, the CEO and founder of Oli Labs. David, what were some of your favorite takeaways from this conversation?
Yeah, I think for me, it was great because we talk so much about AI, but when we get a chance to talk about AI and how it's used to actually help the industry or help, tech vendors, help sales and marketing teams, to me, that's where the payday was when we actually see it in use. I thought the conversation was great.
Agree. I always love talking to people who maybe didn't come from hospitality and understanding their journey. Greg's journey is super impressive. He's a natural born entrepreneur. He's a co-founder, CEO of some quite big companies and a lot of different industries. But hearing how, he's working and using AI in hospitality, absolutely incredible. So let us know what you think about the episode in the comments. Thanks for listening.
Enjoy it. Welcome to The Modern Hotelier, the most engaged podcast in hospitality. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think about today's episode. Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David, today we have on Greg Sukornyk. Greg is the CEO and co-founder of Oli Labs. Thanks for joining us, Greg. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Thanks very much.
All right, so we're going to get started, Greg. We're going to go through a quick lightning round. We're going to get to know you a little bit better, where you grew up, your background, and then we're going to dive into some topics. How's that sound?
Perfect. Sounds great.
All right, here we go. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I actually wanted to be an engineer, and I actually went into physics and math in first year college, believe it or not, but didn't last. I don't think I had the brain power, so I partner with engineers now instead.
Okay. What's something that you wish you were better at?
Playing guitar. And I'm working on that. There's been a 25-year lull, but I'm back at it.
What's a luxury you can't live without?
I actually loved what someone said on another show of yours, which was coffee. And I'm actually going to go with coffee because I am a coffee lover. So that's my answer.
All right. Name a person, dead or alive, you'd like to have lunch with.
I'm going to say Marco Polo because he was quite the adventurer. And he must have stayed at some amazing spots on the Silk Road. And I want to talk to him about those amazing spots since this is a hotel program.
That's a good answer. If you could have a superpower, what superpower would you want to have?
A little bit boring, but I'm going to say to fly. I'd like to fly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last one. Let us know something that's on your bucket list.
Oh, yeah. That's an easy one. A great migration safari with my family in Kenya and Tanzania. That's been in the works for several years, so that's on the bucket list.
Very cool. Very cool, Greg. So well done. Now we're going to dive into a little bit about your background. So you grew up in Canada, is that correct?
I did, yeah.
Where in Canada did you, Greg? Where did you grow up in Canada?
Yeah, Toronto. Born and raised in Toronto. Yeah, that's my hometown.
Awesome. Been there a few times. How did growing up in Toronto shape you into who you are today?
Oh, in many ways. And I would say Canada generally. Such a good sort of family city. I would say Toronto is. It's changed a lot over the past 5, 10, 15 years. It's a much bigger city. I think it's like 5 million people. But it was like a big town kind of when I was growing up. Very walkable, very safe, very comfortable. I actually went to a French school called Toronto French School there. So it was very, very international also. Big mix of cultures. Yeah, very, very sort of level and happy place to grow up, actually. So hopefully I'm a level and happy person now as a result. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. All right. So you got your degree at Queen's University in Canada, and then you later got your law degree from the London School of Economics. What led you down that road to choose those schools and that major?
Yeah, what propelled me to become a lawyer? You're wondering. It's probably a very good question. Yeah, Queens. It was a great school, great time when I went there. To be honest, as I said, I was thinking about becoming an engineer, and look at me. I ended up going through law school, and LSE was a great school. It's quite interesting. I've reconnected with LSE. I'm involved in one of their entrepreneurship innovation programs. And I work with a school down here that they're involved in called Pinecrest, which is a lot of fun. So LSE was an amazing experience, international spot to study, very interesting. I think I probably realized midway through law school that I wasn't destined to become a lawyer, but I did become a lawyer nonetheless. I got my call to the bar in Canada and Ontario, and I practiced at a big law firm for a very short time, maybe a year and a half, and decided I want to go into business. I think, I grew up in a very business oriented family. Around the dinner table, we were talking shop, talking about building businesses. My father was a very successful entrepreneur, and I think that's always what I really wanted to become. Right, was creating and innovating. So law didn't last. Straight out of law school, I was already planning my first startup, and it just took me a little while to get there.
That's great. So, great segue to kind of the next question here. As I was going through your career, came across Extreme Network, which is a pretty cool story. It became the UK's first free internet service provider. Can you tell us a little bit more about that story, how you founded the company and how you ended up selling it at the end of the day?
Yeah, thanks. No, it was a very exciting time. Actually, we were kids. It was my brother and I who started it. So this is the late 90s. And so it was dial-up internet days. And really give credit to my brother. He was actually in the middle of his computer science degree at Queen's, no less. I sort of dragged him out of university. I wasn't a very good brother. And we started to build this company, the Extreme. We really pioneered free internet access in all of Europe. We were the first. It was an ad-based model. So we were serving ads in a little browser above the main browser. And in exchange, we gave people free internet access. So it was a kind of a very exciting story. We launched, I remember the day, it was March 8, 1998. And we were huddled around our small team in a crappy little office in Clapham Junction, London. No AC, no nothing. And we went out for dinner at midnight that on launch day, and for pizza, I think Pizza Express or something. We came back to the offices and we already had 1,000 subscribers, like in an hour and a half. But there was a lot of PR build up to it. It was pretty cool. And so we grew it. So London became our HQ. My brother was our CTO, and he stayed in Toronto where we built our software teams. Toronto has a really strong tech ecosystem. And we built it, we expanded across 4 other countries. So we were in 5 countries in 2 years, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, and of course the UK. Notably, we became the 3rd biggest ISP in the UK in 11 months.
Wow.
And we overtook AOL, actually. So it was exciting. And then we were approached by France's biggest internet company called Liberty Surf, and they acquired us in March of 2000. And that was the week before the NASDAQ started to slide dramatically southward, and we got acquired. It was a nice exit for us. And then the merged company went public on the Paris Exchange. It was the biggest internet IPO in Europe at the time. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's fun days.
Congratulations. Very, very cool. So now we're going to dive into your career a little bit, how you got to be the co-founder and CEO of Oli Labs. So after you graduated law school, you said you were a lawyer for a year and a half. Can you tell us about that time, kind of when you were a lawyer and before you started Extreme?
Yeah, well, I was actually working with my dad. My dad and I were running a sort of a consultancy advising startup. They didn't call them startups back then. They were just called like early stage. I don't know what they were called, like new companies. And we had a boutique consultancy, and we were helping these young companies to strategize, plan their strategy, raise some money, help them with operations. We had equity in these companies, and my dad and I had a lot of fun actually doing it. It was called GS and Associates. So that was sort of the bridge. That was the bridge between leaving the legal world, the law world, and then moving to Extreme. And it was while I was at GS with my dad that my brother and my dad was involved in that too, started plotting the Extreme network. So yeah, there was a bridge time, but we were super excited to cut our teeth. Yahoo was strong on the scene. Those are the days of Yahoo, if you remember. I could go on and on about all those old names that would be blasts from the past, but maybe not enough time.
You're probably working on your gateway computer back in the day.
That's right. The cow.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you've been CEO, co-founder, all sorts of companies from, as you discussed, early internet days, media, gaming, technology. What do you think you learned from those roles and starting those companies that you keep with you today in your current role?
Yeah, it's a good question, David. Like, I keep coming back. Like, even when I'm talking to the students at Pinecrest, I sort of do coach some classes and stuff like that. I keep coming back to team, how important the team is. At the end of the day, I know that may sound obvious, but sometimes we overlook it. I think I learned how the sorts of founders or co-founders that should be a fit for you, right? It's to look for the signals that's actually going to make a really solid team. Team comes before everything in my eyes, right? And it's easy for a team to get off track and derailed. People have different goals, places in their lives, ambitions. Those are hard to align. It's obvious, right? It's a marriage, and so how you do that, I think, is what I learned a lot over the past 20 years of building startups. Right? It's how you make sure from the early days that you're aligned with a co-founder and the rest of your team, like the early stage team. Frankly, have open discussions about that too. Where you feel you want to go with your business, because everybody has different ideas. Do you want to build a unicorn? Do you want to multiple more modest exits? If you can get those exits, those are hard to get. They're very hard to get. So yeah, team and how you bring it together is probably the biggest thing, I would say, David. Yeah.
So now you co-founded and you're the CEO of Oli Labs. What kind of gave you the idea for Oli Labs and really gave you the momentum to start it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So my co-founder, our CTO Jens, he's a very sharp guy who worked at Meta. He's our CTO, and so he computer science degree. It actually stemmed from our observation on, well, it's kind of frankly a long-term frustration, I would say, of ours, or mine certainly, which is the speed of response, the efficacy of responding on the customer service front across industries, the ability to get, I'm talking as an end user, as a customer, the ability to get efficient, coherent, comprehensive answers in a prompt, timely fashion, right? That's long been a beef of mine, I would have to say. And it's a problem I've probably been wanting to solve for a very long time, right? It's like the follow-up, the responsiveness. I feel that's very important, right? In all industries. And I would say that Oli Labs is, in a way, maybe my first startup that exemplifies kind of a real problem that I've been wanting to solve for a long time. I was in mobile gaming. I'm not a hardcore gamer or anything like that. I'm not sure that was the best fit for me, but I made the most of it. But with Oli Labs, it's truly a pain point we've wanted to solve. We're doing it with Oli Labs on the sales side. So the product is very sales focused. It's a very sophisticated AI sales agent, not so much on the customer service side, but it does touch on customer service, obviously, because if people are inquiring about booking an event at a hotel, it's a wedding, it's a birthday party, whatever it might be, I expect, quick responses, right? Like I look at it as a customer that I expect sterling service. I think of, I'm a Toronto boy, so I grew up with Four Seasons as a big name in my city, and they were always the epitome of sterling customer service, right? And so I've always thought about how important that is in any business. So we're having a lot of fun building something that solving a problem that I really want to solve.
Yeah, and maybe if you can dive a little deeper into that problem and maybe just take us through kind of a little more specifically what you're doing there.
Ollie is we call it a very holistic sales agent. Holistic meaning inbound and outbound and very conversational in nature. So conversations are at the root of what we do, of our solution. We believe that, I'm sure you'll agree, the richness of a conversation, almost can't be matched, right? You can learn so much, just like we're having a conversation right now. You can learn so much from someone, from a guest at a hotel, from somebody planning a hotel. So Ollie is there as the front of the house, responding to inquiries as they come in. So this could be on the event side, the group side, could also be on the transient side too, in the hotel world. We work in a couple different industries, but in the hotel world, Ollie can be placed on a website as a very advanced chat experience, but is omni-channel. So can be on WhatsApp, on Instagram, can be voice driven. So you can call and speak to Ollie. We integrate with the sales and catering systems of our clients or CRMs in other industries. That's pivotal for us. So Ollie's anchored in the CRM or the SCS. Conversations flow there. We have a prioritization model that where Ollie analyzes the conversations, scores them, and prioritizes them directly in their systems of record. And then the sales teams can see the prioritization, can see the conversations. The director of sales or whomever is in charge of that part of the system can decide to assign a lead to a human sales manager, or they may want to assign it to Ollie. So we give the ability for our clients to assign leads to Ollie in the SCS. And then Ollie can go outbound and nurture those leads, composes the messages autonomously, personalizes them. Personalization is a big part of our system. Ollie really gets to know these leads almost better than anybody. And our clients get to set the frequency that Ollie will go out to email, to message, to call, or even WhatsApp a lead, and is very thorough in his follow-up and nurturing. These are sort of grinding, repetitive tasks, but important ones that we feel are best left to AI to handle, right? So this is what we think. We believe in this partnership between the humans and the AI. We don't believe in, the AI taking it all over. I think the AI has an important part, and then the humans have a very important part, which is, forming the final relationship. Ollie hands it off to them and closing the deal, right? It's very, very efficient, right? So that's what our product does. The data that we extract from the conversations is, I think it's magical. It's probably not too strong a word because Annalisa is the analytics piece. Annalisa is analyze in Spanish, so that's our analytics. We've got a largely Latin team actually, and Annalisa provides these amazing historical analytics that are very useful for our clients to plan their marketing. It's great business intelligence. And then finally, we have a new product we just released called Oli Profit, which is PROPHET, and that's our predictive intelligence component. So if Annalisa is backward looking on the historical conversations, Profit is forward looking and can be sort of another voice at the table for these clients. So they could call on Oli Profit and as a coach, maybe to close a potential group booking, event booking, and say, I've got Mr. Smith here who is a group of 100 people. It's a birthday party, thinking about it for October. He seems very interested, but I can't get him quite over the line. Ollie, Oli Profit, can you give me some tips or guidance on how I could close them? Profit will come back with the amazing insights from the conversations Ollie's had with the leads and give recommendations on what to do to close that deal. So we just launched Oli Profit. We're really excited. There's other uses for it, but our clients are really excited about it too.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you have any, I guess, best practices that you've seen from hotels that they've been using Ollie? And I guess it almost impressed you at kind of how Ollie worked with that hotel and how it was able to maybe bring in more business?
An example, probably just say on a bit of an anonymous basis, but where the hotel property was, struggling with the follow up side of the equation, with responding in a timely manner, probably losing quite a bit of business, letting leads fall through the cracks. We were able, over the course of about a 4-month period, to increase the number of qualified leads that were being sent to their team by 2.5 times.
Wow.
By 2.5x. So that's a pretty big lift for them. And we also were instrumental in reducing sales related costs too, because they were trying to make a decision about whether they would hire another salesperson, but instead they opted to try Ollie to do sort of part of that role. And so Ollie, it doesn't cost as much as a sales manager, but worked in concert with the sales managers very effectively. So it's like the Royal Philharmonic, right? It's when the two sides work beautifully together, they're playing beautifully together. It's something incredible, right? And the efficiencies you can drive. We are very much though about driving more revenue for our clients, right? There's certainly a lot of important deployments and talk about the cost reductions that AI can deliver, and our system does do that. But the revenue driving is probably the more major part of what we do.
That is a great segue to my next question. And we're going to move into the industry thoughts. So kind of how Ollie is working with these hospitality companies. So question for you on more the AI sales agent side of things. How are we seeing that shift from, AI agents just capturing leads to actually cultivating them? And you mentioned revenue just now. What does that mean for revenue?
You're right. There's this shift from, okay, if we go back to the traditional rigid chatbots, which still are prevalent across the ecosystem of hospitality and many other industries, something that we're really trying to replace with our system. And forms, by the way, you see forms. Let's not forget about forms that are everywhere on sites. Forms that are rigid and can't convey all the details of an inquiry, right? Whereas conversations can. The transition we're really starting to see is, let's allow an AI to do what it does best, right? Which is to be able to collect and centralize data at scale into a system of record, right? It's humans can do this sort of on a more limited basis, but we're really good at other things. But AI now has the capability to actually synthesize millions of data points, right? And then be able to categorize and prioritize as well leads in a very organized fashion. So we're starting to see, interestingly, we've been partnering with some pretty big groups in hospitality. It's taken us a while because we're kind of newer to the industry. We haven't been into the industry, as you can tell by all my startups. I've been in different industries. Partners like Infor and Event Temple, great partners. They're forward thinking. Some of the biggest hotel management companies now that we're working with, and they're really sort of now seeing the importance in their businesses. And for the sake of their clients, and in making this whole process of profile building and data collection and data synthesis much more harmonious and much more efficient. So that's a big thing what we do. On the revenue side, because I think you were asking also about revenue and how it's changing that, it's really quite simply about handing the highest priority leads, highly qualified leads is what I should say, to the sales teams, not having them spend so much time, I could say waste so much time on a lot of the unfiltered, unqualified ones, but having them focus on sort of the 10 or the 20% that are really going to make a difference for them, and allow them to focus on what they do best, right? So this is why revenue can grow as a result of this approach, because you're not a lot of these sales teams are spending a couple days a week on a lot of this admin grinding work. In some cases, it's probably more than that. I dare say. We've talked to a lot of different directors of sales and sales managers at hotels, and this is what they're telling us. Right? It's just they're spending a lot of time on things that they don't feel they should be spending their time on. So we want to help them with that.
Yeah, you've touched on it, but I think it's a really important point to just kind of hone in on a little more, because everyone's worried about the how the AI is going to either take away jobs. I loved what you said about making people more efficient. So when AI steps in and starts, letting humans, the sales teams focus on the, closing deals, how's that actually affecting the performance of those sales teams?
Oh, immeasurably. Like the performance, and it's not just the performance. I think it's their moods,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I think people are in a better mood, right? They're happier to be in their jobs. Churn, human churn is lower as well, because let's face it, there can be a lot of churn across industries. Churn is lower. People are doing the things they want to be doing rather than a whole bunch of things they don't feel they're best suited to be doing. We really view it as they're team members. Really, they're team members together. We're not out to replace. I don't think you should be out to replace. And by the way, I think sometimes we get a little carried away with talk of agentic everything as well. We believe in AI being very capable of handling certain types of activities and actions, but by no means everything. And sometimes we see, not to get too technical, but it can get a square peg in a round hole, where teams or companies are trying to force AI to on all sorts of use cases that it's not well suited for. Right? AI can be very good, but it is also a probabilistic system, not deterministic. But we just want it. The Olympics are going on, so I'll use a sports metaphor. Think of these relay teams, right? I'm Canadian, so I'm thinking of the Canadian relay teams right now, even though that's summer sports. But imagine when the baton is being passed on to the next runner, when the winning teams do this so beautifully. And it's kind of like that. That's I could throw out other metaphors, but I kind of think that's a good one. It's like, okay, human to AI to human to AI, and it's seamless. And the humans are much happier and able to drive more business. That's the way we view it.
Well, and that's great. I guess I'm thinking from my background is sales. I've been
Right.
doing sales for 20 years. And I think about maybe being a little nervous to hand over maybe communication, my pipeline to AI. What are you seeing as far as people getting comfortable with AI? And one question I have is, how is it helping, or is it helping conversion rates?
Yes. So yes, it is helping conversion rates for sure. But your question is well taken. I still think there's a lot of trepidation, Steve, by teams about embracing AI, but a lot of it might be unspoken. So we may be speaking with teams, and we may not even fully know if they're nervous about it. We obviously try to. I feel through education and explanation, you get through to people and you make them understand that, listen, this is it's like a lot of other paradigm shifts or technological shifts over the centuries, right? There's always a nervousness and apprehension about what that might mean, but we get through it, don't we? Right? We move on, we get through it, we adapt, we have to adapt. Adaptation, by the way, is a healthy thing for humans to embrace and to undertake. It can be tough, can be difficult, but it's a good thing, right? So yes, we have to hold hands. We're holding hands actually through all this process. It takes time. You have to have patience. I'm not always patient because I build startups, so I'm like eager to build to really grow things, but you have to have patience, I think. And conversion rates are increasing. I gave you the example of the 2.5 times more qualified leads. We're seeing conversion rates with some of our clients as high as 50% to a qualified lead from interactions with Ollie. So pretty exciting.
I think if I was a hotelier listening, especially if I was in the sales department, I'd be getting excited. So when AI truly understands a hotel's sales and catering data, how can it really just make that difference in acting in real time for that property?
When it really understands and it's embedded in their SES, their systems, then there's a couple of ways we do it. So first of all, as good as some of these systems may or may not be,
Right.
they are quite something sometimes overwhelming to always immerse yourself in, right? So we're starting to plan a roadmap where Ollie can really start to shuffle. Imagine like a ticker board or something, right? Or at the train station, you can start to see like, okay, here are the higher priority leads. Sales team, focus on these. These are the urgent ones that you should go after right now. We almost see the sales and catering systems needing to go in that direction, or with an integration from Ollie, so that the teams can just Ollie has all the data inside the SCS, is capable of being updated in the SCS. His brain is capable. So we train on all of the information that hotel properties give us. So Ollie knows everything there is to know about the hotels and more general information. And they can regularly update Ollie's brain by adding notes in the systems. So, Mr. Smith happens to like sushi, so that 100-person party at the event, there better be sushi. Well, Ollie knows that, and Ollie's going to follow up with Mr. Smith and just say, "Hey, we just got a dynamite sushi chef from Japan last week. He's now our sushi chef at the property, and we're going to prepare a dynamite sushi dinner for your 100-person group." Ollie can do this at scale, gets personal information that is all housed in the sales and catering system, so that remains intact, and then elevates the priority leads to the sales teams. Right? They don't have to spend so much time wading through those systems. There's still the systems of record, so this data sits there, but Ollie helps them filter all that stuff. Just one last thing is that what we will be building is an integration to platforms like Slack and Teams, where Ollie can be called upon from Slack. So Ollie becomes a teammate on Slack or Teams. And rather than having to go into the sales and catering system, you call on Ollie and you can say, "Hey, Ollie, can you tell me, what were the 10 highest priority leads from last week?" Okay, here they are, Greg. Doodle-doop. And then you say to Ollie, "Okay, send out an email and tell them that we just got, the world's best sushi chef at the hotel property," right? And Ollie will prepare it, can be vetted, and send out all of that data. All that conversation will still reside in the system, but you haven't had to delve into it and get lost in it. You've saved yourself an immense amount of time, which leads to greater revenue.
That's
Great.
awesome. So you kind of talked about what's next for Ollie. AI is changing so quickly. Days, weeks, months, it is changing rapidly. What do you see next for AI, and where do you think it's going to be in the next year or two?
It's a lot of views on that as to where it's going to be. I think what's going to happen, there's always hype cycles, right, with technology. I lived through the dot-com boom and bust. We were that odd startup back at Extreme that was actually cash flow positive, believe it or not. All these other companies like pets.com, and there were many others, they simply added a .com after their name, and all of a sudden their valuation shot up, but they had no revenue. We actually had quite a lot of revenue, so it was interesting. I'd say once the dust settles a little bit, obviously this is a revolution. This is a bit of a paradigm shift, one of the most momentous technology shifts in human history, but the dust will settle. And what I see happening, I think it's actually already happening, I shouldn't say it will happen in a year's time, is hotel groups and other industries will start to really just drill down to how AI is helping in very specific use cases. Like how is it actually improving our bottom line? and driving more revenue in a very specific way. And I think a lot of the fluff will go by the wayside. I think hotel sales leadership, CIOs, CEOs will really be focusing on very specific advances, right, of AI, how it is really advancing their businesses. I think that's just going to become more pronounced over the next year.
And so as you said, you're an entrepreneur, you started companies, you sold companies. What advice would you give to people who are looking to start their own company?
Don't do it. No, I'm joking. No. Listen, I think it's, I honestly can't think of what else I would be working at, right? Maybe eventually I'll come back to being an engineer at some point, like I was talking about, but no, probably not. I love building companies. It's not without its perils. It's not for the faint of heart. I think you really have to know the reasons that you are doing it. Again, going back to I'm entrepreneur in residence at this Pinecrest school, and this is the sort of thing I tell the students. They have a really exceptional entrepreneurship program, and I go in and I coach them, and I say, listen, you're smart kids, but there's lots of different directions that you could go in, and they're all they're all equally good and worth considering. There can be a bit of an aura placed around sort of successful startups and entrepreneurs and all the rest of it. And that's fine. It's a very hard thing to do, right? Build a company successfully. You have to do it for, I won't say the right reasons, but the reasons that are going to be lasting for you. I would put it that way. So if it means a lot for you to be in a situation where you're creating and innovating for your life, for the rest of your life, because I think if you truly get into it and you love it, you will just do this till the day you die, right? Like I'm gonna do it till I croak. So I'm happy to say, and I think you have to look at sort of what you really value, right? I don't think there's one set of good reasons, one set of reasons. I think you have to have the stomach for it. You have to have both patience and impatience at the same time. So there's a lot of these balancing acts because, you should be impatient about wanting to advance your business. You absolutely should. You got to look for the right people. Again, teams are the most important thing in building a startup. So yeah, those are some of the lessons. I have more.
That's good.
No, that was really, really good. So, Greg, we have been asking you questions this whole time. This is where we turn the tables and let you ask David and I a question.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's exciting. Well, let me ask you guys, like, where do you think AI is going to be in the hotel world, right? In a year's time, in 2 years' time, what are you seeing? What are the trends? What's your expectation?
David, I'll take this one first.
Go ahead.
You usually go first. I feel like AI in hotels is a match made in heaven, to be honest with you. There has been a staffing shortage for how many years? I feel like that's one of the things we always talk about, especially around hot topics when we're talking about what's going on in the industry. So AI is there to not replace people, but make extra time available for those hoteliers so they can focus on the guest experience. So I think we are going to see, especially on the sales side and the front desk side, those customer facing sides where they are dealing with people, they're going to incorporate AI more to do some more of those mundane tasks and free up their time so they can really focus on the guest experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just add, I think you've kind of touched on it through the conversation, but when I started my first startup or internet company, I had a friend tell me, who's going to put their credit card online. And that was that fear of the internet and, and things of that nature. And as we know that everything got, internet speeds got faster. And so now it's just kind of a norm. And I think very, very soon it's just going to be a norm in hotels that AI is working with, hotels are working with a platform like yours to help them more efficient on the sales side, or a platform that's actually answering, phone calls if people are still calling or responding to text messages, whether it be SMS or WhatsApp. So I think it's going to be the norm, and I don't think there's any stopping it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's funny your example about putting your credit card online. Remember, there's that little company called Amazon that
Yeah.
no one knew if that was going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, I think you're right, David. I mean, the other thing I think about is people should also build muscle and restraint to not just hand everything over to AI. You got to keep your mind sharp, right? And so we're all now inclined to use Claude or ChatGPT, Gemini every day now, right? For different purposes. That's fine, but people still have to build muscle, keep their muscle. Like, don't just hand it all over. Use it as a partner, but don't just hand it over entirely. And if you look at it that way, then I think it's a very reasonable and logical step in the evolution of the hotel business, right? It's just, it can deliver a 10x improvement over time. I think it really can. But, just take it, just look at it sort of rationally and logically, and don't get too carried away. It will really help your business, but just drill down. Humans should still use their own judgment, right, on
Yes,
things.
agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, our producer, John, he has been listening this whole time. We're going to hand it over to him for the last question before we get you out of
Great.
here.
One of the things we saw as a hot topic in the last month was that group business is increasing, but to really capitalize on that, you really need to be on top of RFPs and the speed in which you're responding to those things. And you mentioned earlier how teams are getting more comfortable with Ollie or AI handling that first response. But do you have any measurable numbers, like how that really increases the speed and their ability to kind of capitalize on those?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Speed to lead, as they say, right, is critical. And, there's platforms like the Cvents of the world, all the rest of it. When we look at sort of how Ollie has handled responding just on websites or directly via email to RFPs, there's a lot of things that happen. First of all, you get much happier planners and inquirers for those events on the other end, when they're delighted when all of a sudden an AI immediately responds to them, not necessarily with a completed proposal, but just saying, hey, we received your request. We're putting it together. Thank you, Mr. Smith. We'll be back to you in 1 day or 2 days. Versus when we did we were doing some early tests with hotels about a year ago. We did some of our own RFP requests. And on average, response times were like 3 days. It's the first time you get a response at all. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And these are kind of some well-known hotels. That seemed to have been kind of just an accepted status quo sort of thing. But I'm like, that cannot be, right? Just even if people love it when you just respond. You have an AI that responds very naturally and pretty much in a human-like way and just says, we've got it. I'll come back to you if we need any other information, this sort of thing. So it's making the customer much happier. It's making the teams less stressed as well, like the sales teams, because they know that at least there's been a first contact with the planner or the requester. That just makes the operation so much more seamless.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier. Greg, this is where you can let people know how they can get in touch with you, find out more about Ollie, so plug away.
Thanks a lot, guys. You can reach me by emailing me at Gregory. That's when I use Gregory at olilabs.ai. That's OLILABS.ai. You can go to our website and chat with Ollie directly if you want. He's on our website. That's olilabs.ai. And just reach out. We'd love to talk to you and do business anytime. Thanks very much.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, the most engaged podcast in hospitality. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to be with you again soon. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Thanks, guys. Loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.